Are you interested in learning how to identify approved senders in Power Platforms? In today's video, I'll walk you through the process of finding approved senders from distribution lists, mail-enabled security groups, and M365 groups. Before we dive in, it is important to ensure you have the necessary prerequisites. You will need the HTTP with Microsoft Entra ID preauthorized connector, which requires a Power Automate Premium license. In addition to that, the connection reference used to retrieve the approved senders must have at least read access to the Exchange Admin Center. Let's dive in and get started. The first thing I would do is go to Graph Explorer and check if there are any group endpoints already that gets the approved senders. If I don't see it over here, we are going to go to the Graph API reference, go to groups. Because I already did all the research, I just know there is an endpoint called List Accepted Senders. So I already conducted some tests on Graph Explorer. So I'm able to check which group it is. And then to check on the endpoint here, I use a distribution list group ID to check, but it comes back to something like this. So this is why it is so crucial to test your endpoints using the Graph Explorer before you go into deep creating Power Automate flows and everything for it. So let's test it using an M365 group. So I have this M365 group called Approvers. We can take a look and find the group ID. I believe it is this one. We'll copy that over and there we go. We're able to find approved senders for M365 groups, but not for non-M365 groups. Translating the Graph Explorer endpoint to Power Automate is straightforward. I have previously made a video using Graph API to enhance Power Platforms. While this particular endpoint isn't supported as an app registration, the reason we need the account to have Exchange admin role read permissions is because we'll be using the delegated permissions using the Office 365 group connector. Moving on to non-M365 groups. The first thing we got to do is add the invoke an HTTP request action from the HTTP with Entra ID pre-authorized connector. And then ensure your connection reference base and the Microsoft Entra ID resource URL is the http://admin.microsoft.com. It may ask you to sign in or to re-authenticate if this is a new connection reference. After you have re-authenticated, we are going to use the get method and then input this endpoint in the URI. Remove the group ID placeholder to your desired group ID. I am renaming the action name to help us differentiate from mail-enabled security group versus a distribution list. And then we're going to save and test it. As you can see, the accept message only from senders or members list object is displaying the mail nickname for each mailbox. The same thing happens for the mail-enabled security group. With that being said, I haven't been able to find any documentation or articles about this method, which means this may not be supported by Microsoft and the endpoint may stop working at any time. I came across this endpoint a couple months ago when I was looking for the sender option value for a non-M365 group using the developers tools on the network tab while clicking on the group in the Exchange Online admin portal. And this is the endpoint that I have used to get the sender option. After the side panel is opened, I click on the settings tab and it would display the endpoint I mentioned earlier. But of course, when I am recording this video, Microsoft decides to use the beta endpoint instead. On the HTTP with Entra ID pre-authorized connectors documentation, it states that it uses delegated access on behalf of the user for various Microsoft services such as Graph, SharePoint, Dataverse, and etc. I swear I remember seeing a Microsoft Message Center saying that this connector was going to change and all my clients would have to switch over to the new release of the connector. But some reason it seems like Microsoft had pulled that message out of the Message Center, put it in their documentation. It's saying that the existing connector does not need administrators to explicitly grant consent for the action to be executed by the application on behalf of the user. However, the new version of this connector actually prompts the administrator to grant consent to the endpoint of the application the user wants to use, but I have yet to come across the new release of this connector. Microsoft have not announced when the existing connector is going to deprecate, but when that time comes, we will be forced to use the new release of the connector, and we need to create OAuth 2 permission grant app registration to approve the necessary permissions for the required service. Due to this new update, Microsoft provides an alternative option by using the HTTP with Entra ID connector without the pre-authorized version. Because this connector needs the admin to explicitly grant access, Microsoft provided a script to grant those endpoints. If you are as stubborn as me or just as curious on how I did it, please feel free to download your copy of the workflow in the description below. For the rest of the video, I will be going through the workflow to grab all of the nested approved senders to a flat array of users. This workflow is a manual trigger with the group ID as the trigger input. Then I have initiated 4 variables, the first one being the output of the get approved senders API call output. The second one is the URI next page to go to the next one. The third one is the group members in case we get a nested group. And then the last one being the temporary array that I'm going to use later. Moving on to the next action, I am using the M365 group connector to find group details. The next action is a compose action. It has nested if statements to find out what type of group it is. So if the group type has unified, it means it is an M365 group. If it doesn't have unified, then we are going to look at the mail-enabled property. If the mail-enabled property is true, then we would have to look at the security-enabled property. If security-enabled property is true, then it is a mail-enabled security group. Else, it is a distribution list. If mail-enabled property is false, means that this is just a security group without a mailbox. Now we're going to move on to getting the approved senders. If the group is an M365 group, we are going to use the Office 365 group to get the accepted senders and then set the variable from the previous action's value. Continue on the M365 group route. We have a condition to check the variable we have set is not empty. If it is not empty, we are going to check again if the group is an M365 group. If it is, we have a placeholder condition to run parallel tasks for us to reduce the flow run time. Both of these are filter arrays where we're filtering from the output that we grabbed using the @OData type. This is filtering by the group. And then this is filtering by the user. So for every group that was received, we are going to set the URI next page variable using the transitive members endpoint. The transitive members endpoint is to grab all the nested group members to one page. So we are going to continue on for each group. We are going to set it and then do it until that variable becomes null. And then we have the HTTP request to grab the members. And then we have a select to select only the properties that we're looking for. And this is something extra. Grant type is to show, is this grant of a group within a group or directly? From the select, we are going to append the variable to var group members, and the value is the string version of the select. And then after that, we are going to set the next page variable to the OData next link. So after the do until is complete, then we are going to get the group members, JSONify it again since it was a string. And then after that, I have this compose action to convert from nested arrays to a one big array. And then the union is to grab from the clean members from here to the variable on this side. So for the right side, this is a filter array of the OData type that is a user And then for each user, we are going to grab each user's information, expanding their manager, selecting the display name and mail. This is totally optional. And I am appending to this array variable, selecting certain things with the grant type equals to direct. After the union, we are going to go to a filter array, checking if the account enabled property is true. The from this filter array action, checking if the group type is an M365, we are going to use the left output over here. Else, we are going to use the other output that is on the right side. Now we are going to go review the flow if it's not an M365 group from the top. So we got the group type, and if it is not an M365 group, we are going to check if there is a mailbox for this group using the mail enable property. If that is true, we are going to grab the approved senders using this endpoint API. And then we are going to grab the specific property called accept message only from the senders or members list. After having this UPN down, the next condition is checking if that variable has a value, and which it does. And if there is a value, we are going to check again if the group type is an M365 group or not. And because this is not, we're going to close that. For each of the approved sender UPNs, we are going to send an HTTP request, since this endpoint will only show us the mail nickname for those users. We are going to filter by the mail nickname by this. Check if the HTTP request returns a value that's 1 or greater. If it does, we are going to grab the display name, mail, and this would be the direct grant type. And if it doesn't, we are going to check if this mail nickname is a group. We're going to filter by mail nickname by the current item. Or if this filter returns one item or more, then we are going to get the transitive members endpoint, and then we are going to do it until we get all of the members. And then this is the same thing of what we did for the M365 group. After grabbing all the members for this group, we're going to collapse this. Just remember, this whole thing is for each mail nickname. So that is everything inside that applies to each. And then after each UPN has gone through its process, and we are going to JSONify the group members again, since we have made it to a string, clean it up to simplify from a nested array to a single array. And now we are going to do a union from clean members to and the variable from approved senders temp. After the compose action approved senders for non-M365 group is complete, it will go through the filter to ensure all of the members are enabled. And there you have it. I hope this video is helpful. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell icon to follow for more updates.